tuned in to the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics. What's up, St. Louis? We back in this thing again. Welcome back to the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics. Today is Sunday. Y'all enjoying this beautiful weather out there? I know it's gotten real hot. St. Louis weather don't know what it want to do sometimes. Last week it was cold, and then then the heat came. So we got that bipolar St. Louis weather. But I'd like to welcome you all back to the Politics Podcast. If this is your first time, thank you. Welcome. If you are returning, I appreciate all your support. Don't forget you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Podbean, The Truth, 88.1 The Truth, Internet Radio, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Spotify. You can catch up on all your latest episodes of the Politics Podcast. I appreciate you all. Welcome back. So today, actually, I don't have a guest. Nobody wanted to talk to me this week. No, that's not true. People always want to talk to me. Everybody wants to talk to Terry. But today I decided, because I kicked off my first show with the mayor of Jennings, which happens to be my mother. But some of you that listen to the show don't really know who I am. And some of you do, but some that do know me probably don't know everything about me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take this time to introduce to the world and St. Louis who Terry Wilson is. And so I'm going to kind of talk you guys through my little journey so far in politics and community work. So you can know who you're listening to. So I am Terry Wilson, as you can see down there, right there. Terry Wilson. I actually started I'll go back. So I started into politics before I was an elected official. Politics for me started in college on the campus of Lincoln University. I was a part of student government. And then I was the president of my fraternity's chapter. And I'd like to say that was political. That was where I got my political start. That was where I got my political itch. That was my training ground for what I'm doing today. And then fast forward after college, I ran for my first political office. I ran for state representative. At the time, the district was the 69th district, and it was redistricted. And when it redistricted, it turned to the 66th district. And so I ran against Gina Walsh, who just termed out as senator last year. Gina Walsh, she's a long time politician. And when I did run against her, I actually really didn't know much about her, and to be honest, didn't really care. You know, all I knew was I wanted to assume a leadership role in my community. I did a little research, and I said, you know what? I want to run for state rep. Crazy, huh? Well, that didn't work out so well. I lost. And part of that was I didn't really I didn't know what I was doing. When you run for office, you got to know how to run and win. Well, first off, you got to know how to run. You can have all the ideas you want. You can have all these capabilities and abilities that you think you could bring to the table. But at the end of the day, you can't do none of that unless you win. And so you have to have a plan to win. And so I lost, but I said, you know what? This is something I think I could do with some proper planning. I think I can make this happen. And so 2 years went by because a state representative seat is it's a 2-year term. So 2 years went by, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it again. Um, and I decided to run again, but at this moment, Gina Walsh had termed out, and she was running for Senate um, at the time. And so I decided to run, and once again, I ran against someone who has been in politics for a while. I had a strong network, had a constituency, had good name recognition in the community. Um, and actually, I interviewed his son last week. Tommy Pearson Sr. Is who I ran against. And once again, I lost. I was really starting to question, like, is this what I should be doing? Because, the first time I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have no money, didn't have no strategy. Second time around, I was like, um, I got money now. I raised a little money. I put together a campaign team. We were out there knocking on doors, but we still didn't have a solid strategy. And so we lost. We came up short, a couple of hundred votes. Um, I want to say about 500 votes. I probably lost by like 400 or 500 votes. Then I started doing some soul searching, because at this point I'm working. I'm working in the St. Louis public school system. I'm a football coach. Um, but I still had that passion to serve my community in a leadership position. I wanted to be an elected official. That's what I wanted to be. Fast forward, I said, running for state representative is a large area. Um, I'm not really known outside of where I live. I mean, I'm known, but I'm not like known like that. State representative, I mean, a state rep district is probably about between 20 and 30,000 people. Um, and so, you know, as I'm running for these positions, I'm meeting people and I'm networking. And, people are giving me advice. People are giving me an opportunity to help them out with their campaigns. And so, I'm learning the ropes about things that I could that I could implement, next time I run. And like I said, I've gone to meetings and really getting out there, networking, building relationships. And somebody told me, they was like, "Man, you really work hard. I like your energy. I like your enthusiasm. You seem like you're gonna be a real good leader, but you probably want to start somewhere else, other than just running for state rep." And to be honest, I really didn't have a rhyme or reason of why I ran for state rep, like versus running for something locally. Um, I just thought, you know, that's a that's a high level position that affects a lot of people and a lot of things. And so I wanted to be impactful. And so, I selected state representative to focus on. But after a while of going to different community meetings and just getting involved in other spaces in St. Louis, my passion has always been children and the youth, because that's the work that I do. I currently right now I run a community center. I was educator for a while. Like I said, I was a coach. And so somebody said, well, why don't you consider running for school board? And I was like, I never thought about that. I didn't really know much about the school board and what the school board member did or does. But I jumped into it, did a little research, figured out that I didn't need the money that I needed to run for state rep, and I could still have a huge impact, um, running for school board. So I filed to run for school board. This was probably ooh, this was the year that I got married. So this was like 11 years ago, 10 years ago. And so, I'm in the midst of planning a wedding, and an election. But the election came first. And so, me running for school board gave me an opportunity to get closer to the people in the community that I was already close to, share some ideas, um, and run for a local office. And so I ran for school board and I won. Yeah, I won. It was surreal actually, because after those two losses for state rep, I was like, man, maybe it ain't for me to run for office. I ain't in the club. I thought it was like this exclusive club you had to get in to win an election. Because I really felt like, man, I did what you were supposed to do to win. I knocked on doors. I had a strong message. I thought I had a strong message, that I was sharing with the community, and people just wasn't coming out voting for me. Like, I would get votes, but I wouldn't get enough votes. Uh, but when I ran for school board, it was a bit different. Coming in at the time I came in, the school district wasn't doing as well as it's doing now. Um, it was a lot of rocky things going on. They were in the midst of a superintendent change. I believe they had just the school board had just fired the superintendent. It was a I can't even think of who the superintendent was at that time. But I know when I had got on the school board, we had an interim superintendent, and that interim superintendent happened to be he was the middle school principal when I was going to the middle school, back in the day. So he was the superintendent, Mr. Holman, Dr. I don't know if he got a doctorate. Mr. Holman, he was the superintendent at the time, interim superintendent at the time. And like I said, I won that election. Got on the board. It was a lot of division on the board at the time. Like, this group didn't like that group. These people didn't like these people. And I'm like, man, we supposed to be here for the kids though. At the end of the day, that's what I was thinking in my mind. Like, man, we supposed to be here for the kids. So really being on this side versus on the outside looking in, um, it kind of shows why sometimes things don't get done in a school district because the leadership is not on the same page. So fast forward, on the school board, we making some strides. We passed a bond. We're improving the facilities. We're bringing in more. We're bringing in more teachers and principals that are strong leaders. And then we finally get to the point where we're looking for a permanent superintendent. So I had the opportunity that a lot of school board members don't really get the opportunity, like when they first get on. Like, I first got on and immediately I was in the middle of a superintendent search. So I got an opportunity to do a superintendent search, and we selected a dynamic superintendent, Dr. Tiffany Anderson. And then Dr. Anderson stayed for a while, and she left. And so we had to do another. Well, it wasn't really a search. We were fortunate enough that somebody was available. Dr. Art McCoy, he was available at the time, and so we were able to bring him in and hire him on. Um, but while being on the school board, I learned a lot legislative wise. I went to a lot of conferences. I did a lot of the professional development that's offered. Just really learning how to be uh, an elected official, an efficient elected official, and make decisions and govern and all those types of things. So, um, another opportunity came. I want to say about 6 years later. Um, there was a open position on the city council. Yeah, city council. And so I was like, I think I want to run for city council. And I had been serving on the school board for a while. And I felt like I was ready. We had accomplished a lot while I was on the school board. I felt comfortable legislating and making decisions and things of that nature. So, I said, hey, why not? So I put together a little team, raised a little money, and then I ran for city council and won in large fashion. And so, served on city council, still currently serving on city council right now in the city of Jennings, the great city of Jennings. And I was fortunate enough to serve on other boards. See, the thing about being an elected official, you get an opportunity to not only network locally, but regionally and nationally, because they have all these different associations and things that, we are a part of. And so learning, networking, and things of that nature really helps you along the way when you're making decisions on behalf of the constituency and the seat that you serve. Like being an elected official is not like a regular job where you kind of forced to do certain things. Like you kind of have to be proactive when it comes to learning the job and the duties of an elected official. It's no real way to really prepare other than to just do it and go to those different trainings and stuff like that. So, I was fortunate and I took advantage of a lot of those opportunities. And I really, like I said, learned a lot and my confidence grew, my network grew. So, I got a lot of people that I can lean on now. And so moving on from that, um, like I said, I'm currently on the city council now in the city where I live, great city of Jennings. Um, and started to get more involved with the party. So I am a Democrat. Um, and I started really getting more involved with the party and seeing the party politics. See, because the party politics is a bit different than the actual position of serving. So that's a whole separate uh that's a whole separate way of politicking. Excuse me. And so as I started getting more involved with campaigns and helping out candidates and things of that nature, uh, I started getting more involved with the party because I was helping out candidates that were running for governor and lieutenant governor and county executive and county council and all of those other larger positions outside of school board and um, city council. I even helped a couple of state rep candidates as well. And so when you start working on that level, uh, you get a little closer to what the party is doing. And so that brought me to the other position that I that I'm currently serving in now, and that is the committee man for. I'm a Democratic committee man for the Norwood Township. And so a committee man pretty much to I guess to sum it up, the committee man and committee woman is basically the organizer of the party. locally. And so it's our job to organize our community around elections, campaigns, issues that relate to the Democratic Party. And so we kind of lead and spearhead that. And I kind of was already doing that in an unofficial capacity. And I felt like our township wasn't really active as it should be. And the key to a strong voting constituency is organization. And so, I felt like, I've been serving, I got the respect of the community. I've been doing a lot of this stuff already, helping out with campaigns, recruiting candidates, all of that. And so I decided to run for committee man. So now I'm serving in two positions. I served the school board for 10 years, and um, I guess I guess you would say I retired from that position, which was pretty cool. Um, but now I'm currently serving as city councilman and Democratic committee man. And I've been a committee man for almost a year now. Time is really flying. And I've learned a lot about how the party works and the inner workings of the party. I was fortunate enough to be selected to be a delegate um, for the presidential national, the Democratic Presidential Convention, the DNC. Too many acronyms and words and letters. So yeah, so when President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris was running, I was a delegate. So I made one of the votes to nominate him as our official Democratic candidate for president and vice president for Kamala Harris. And so that was a good experience as well. So, all of these different experiences that I've gained, I probably would not have had I given up early on when I had ran for state rep and lost. I've seen a lot of politicians come and go because they weren't successful in the election, but I believe it's a place for everybody. And everybody isn't meant to serve in elected positions, but there still is a place for um you to serve in terms of educating people on elections and kind of being an advocate during campaign season, uh, showing up at the meetings and holding the people that are elected accountable. Everybody has a place in this political arena, whether you are the politician or just a concerned constituent, whether you're a political consultant, a volunteer, committee man, committee woman. I believe it's a place for everybody to serve. Um, some people get so wrapped up and emotional when it comes to these positions that they think they own the positions. And a lot of people joke, like some of my friends joke with me and be like, "Man, how do you have time to do all of these different things?" The reality is, I make time, but I make time to do it because I really want to learn and understand what it is that needs to be done so I can educate other people like my friends and family and people in the community and be an inspiration to them for them to do it as well, and then I can actually tell people how to do it or how to run for office or what to expect when you get in these positions. Really be a resource. I really want to continue to be a resource, a leader in the community, because like I said, it's a lot of talent in our community um, that could be very useful in these positions with making the change that we want to see in our community. Um, so yeah, just that's what I set out to be and do, and I'm gonna continue to serve with dignity, integrity, and I'm gonna always be open to learning new things. I think a lot of people get in certain positions and they feel like they don't have to learn nothing else. And that's just not the case. It's not. But I'm gonna take a short break real quick because I'm getting winded, boy. It's like doing a podcast by yourself without having to interview somebody is very challenging. But we'll be right back shortly. Sit back and relax.
This is the Hip Hop Gardener from Blackberry Landscaping. And when I'm ever listening to an app or podcast shows, I'm listening to the hottest show in the Lou, the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics.
You better ask somebody.
Hey, it's your favorite Ladybug, and you're tuned into the hottest show in the Lou, the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics.
You better ask somebody.
You're tuned in to the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics. All right, I'm back. If you're looking at me live on the screen, you see I didn't go nowhere. But for my folks just listening, welcome back to the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics. I'm going to get good at this podcast thing one day, y'all. See, for y'all that don't know, I'm like the engineer, the host, marketing. I do everything as it relates to this show. And I appreciate you all supporting and tuning in, man. You know, I really started this show really just to educate the community and bring awareness to things that are going on in St. Louis in particularly and in the region in a positive way, a more positive way, because you know, we got a lot of raunchy shows out there. We got a lot of negative drama-filled shows. And, you know, I didn't really want to take that angle with our show. Now, if there are some issues that do need to be talked about as a community, we definitely won't shy away from those things. But we're going to try to leave the conversation with some type of resolution or solution to the issue that we are speaking directly to. And today I kind of really just been talking to you all about, you know, my experiences and my journey on being a politician, elected official, community leader. And it's just weird having a conversation with yourself. But you know, and it's weird talking about yourself. Have any of you all just sat and talked about yourself? You know, that's really kind of. And see, now I'm not sitting up here bragging about myself, so that's different. I would say that's a bit arrogant if you just sit up here and you just brag about yourself. But I will say the work that I do speaks for itself, so I don't really have to like talk about what I do because the people who are around me, the people who I affect, know what it is that I'm doing on a regular basis. And you know, when I am interviewing my guests, mainly politicians and elected officials and community leaders, I asked a few set of questions. So if you've been following my show, you've kind of heard the reoccurring theme of some of the questions that I do ask. And I'm going to kind of answer some of those questions myself. I guess I can't interview myself. I'm just talking, but I'm going to answer some of those same questions that I ask the elected officials. And one question that I usually ask the guests that are in is what has been the biggest challenges since becoming an elected official. And you know, I would say for me, one of the biggest challenges really has been dealing with I guess people who are elected, other elected officials. I would say that's one of my biggest challenges. because sometimes it gets difficult when you're in the same space trying to make change, and everybody thinks that everybody has a motive, and I guess everybody does have a motive, whether it's positive or negative. So having a motive, I would say, isn't a bad thing. I just think some elected officials are always kind of on edge when it relates to someone else, like moving up, I guess. And so I wouldn't even call it jealousy, or I don't know. I just know, for me, being an elected official, people always think that you're trying to, I guess, move past them, or whatever, and that's always been a difficult part, because when I'm working on something with someone, I'm genuinely working on something with someone. Like, I'm not trying to get at you or outdo you or what have you. And I think that's the difficult part, really trying to get some people to feel comfortable, to know that it's okay to work with each other. Nobody's gonna It's no competition. If my city's doing something and we can be a resource to your city, I have no problem with sharing information. Because I mean, you doing good only helps our community. So if one community is doing good and the other one's not, that's not a good thing. So I say that's one of my biggest challenges, is just navigating and dealing with certain people. I say that. um, and I always ask guests that are with me, what advice I would give someone wanting to run for um, public office. And so if you were to call me right now and tell me, hey, Terry, I'm thinking about running, the first thing I'm going to ask you is the same thing that folks ask me. I'm going to say, why? Why do you want to run for that position? And it's not that I'm not the gatekeeper of saying you should run and you shouldn't run. If someone asks, I'm going to give them honest feedback. And I'm going to tell them uh, to do their research on the position, see what it entails, see what the duties are, have a plan to win. Because, like I said, you could have all these great ideas for your community, but um, you can't see it through if you're not in the position. So if it's city councilman that you want to run for, I would say do all the research on the issues. I would say do all the research on the things that you can do as an elected official, because I think that is where some people get some things misconstrued too. They run for positions thinking that they can change certain things in that space. But I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna be able to do nothing by yourself when you're part of a governing body. And so understand what you can and can't do in those positions. Because it's a lot of things that people want to do to help their community that they can actually do without even being an elected official. You could tap an elected official to kind of help assist, but to do certain things in the community, you don't really need to be an elected official to do some of those things that some people say that they want to do. So I would tell them to make sure they do their research, make sure they're doing this because this is something that they truly want to do, and don't do it for money. uh, because this ain't the field to go in if you're trying to do it for money. Excuse me. um Let me see, what else do I ask folks. Oh, I always ask for my guests to tell me in 5 words, what does good governance look like? And so if I was interviewing Terry, I would ask Terry, what in 5 words, tell me, what does good governance look like? And I would say My answer would be good governance looks like transparency, honesty, and I guess those two kind of go hand in hand. Transparency and honesty. Um, Being open to new ideas. Um, Listening. I would also say um having an open door policy as it relates to the people that you serve. Cause like I said earlier, when you get in these positions, like you don't own the position that you hold. You're there to serve and you're there to serve people. And so and without the people, um, you wouldn't be there. So always make sure you listen and you have an open door policy. A good way for people to get in contact with you really helps a lot, having a open line of communication between yourself and your constituents. I would also say thoughtfulness um, is a is a is what good governance looks like as well. Doing things with thought and really thinking about how this is going to affect the community, how this is going to affect a situation, how this is going to affect everybody around you. So, and I think I said 5 words. I usually I interviewed somebody a few weeks ago, and I think they gave me 2 words, but I didn't hold that against them because I asked for 5 words. But yeah, so just to kind of wrap up, I've served in a lot of different capacities. I serve on certain boards, and I've learned something different in every capacity. And I've taken every time I've served in a position and maybe left that position, I've taken what I learned in that position and applied it in the next position, or I didn't apply it if it was something that wasn't effective. It was always in the back of my mind that I thought about. So, but yeah, what is that? I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But next week, we will have another guest on our show. You check out my Facebook. You could check out the Twitter account to see who that next guest is. I think I do a pretty good job of advertising. But I'm gonna tell y'all, man, podcasting is hard. It's not easy. It's more than just cutting the camera on, the recorder on. You got to be very thoughtful when putting together a podcast. But for those that do want to start a podcast, it's not hard to start, but it's not easy to do. Like nothing is easy. But I would say, man, get you some good equipment. Figure out like what lane you want to go in when you're doing your podcast. Um, think about your marketing. Think about your guests, your future guests. Um, and I think if this is something you want to do, I say go ahead and do it. Like I said, I have a purpose for why I'm doing. I'm not just doing it for fun. I really want to be a resource to the community. I really want to bring awareness to folks that are doing things in St. Louis, issues in St. Louis. So I really want to just bring awareness and just kind of educate the community, and not only the community, but people outside of the community. I mean, we have a lot of people that have an opinion about St. Louis and what's going on in St. Louis when they really don't know. And so I wanted to put people in front. I wanted to put people in front of other people to talk about those things and bust those myths that people may have about what's going on in St. Louis. So that is definitely the goal of the show. And I really appreciate you all coming back every week, because you could have really listened and said, "Oh, okay, that was cute," and kept it moving. But I really have some consistent listeners, because that's another thing. When you're doing your own show, you kind of see a lot of the behind the scenes things. So I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at where people are listening in from, and all of that good stuff. So I'm excited. I appreciate the support. Probably towards the fall, I'm going to be opening it up for advertisement. So if you have a business, if you have an organization, consider advertising with the Politics Podcast. Like I said, I'll produce the commercials for you, the graphics. Like I said, I do it all. I'm a one-stop shop. A one-stop shop. But yeah, man, just to kind of wrap up things, let me go to my special buttons over here. Stay tuned in to the Politics Podcast. Yeah, I like that. Your home for St. Louis politics. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up. Just want to come and talk to you guys just a tad bit about what it is that I do and what I've done in the world of politics. You've learned that I served in a few capacities, currently still serving right now. And my whole goal and mission is to just educate you, bring some education to the community about what's going on in the community, about who's doing what in the community. That's my whole goal, y'all. And I am actually impressed with myself, because I talked for 42 minutes non-stop. This was an experiment. And I hope I succeeded. Hope you all come back next week. We have a guest plan for next week. That'll be advertised shortly. So be on the lookout on my social media. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Podbean, 88.1 The Truth Radio, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Spotify. We'll see you all next week. Appreciate y'all tuning in to the Politics Podcast, your home for St. Louis politics. We'll see you next Sunday. Everybody be well. We're out of here.